Hi, this is Mo, two-time national champion here at Mo Kwon Do, and today we're going to talk about footwork. If you want to close the distance with your opponents, if you want to just make them miss, if you want to counterattack them, you need footwork. Footwork is the glue that ties all of your kicking techniques and counterattacks together. Without it, you have pretty much no hope in actually hitting someone or dodging them. Don't expect to compete at your best without having footwork. Before we get started, we have to get our bodies warm. So we're going to go through some warm-ups now. The first thing that we're going to do is jog, and notice we're pumping our arms and we're pumping our legs. What this is doing is getting our body warm, our heart rate up, getting ready for the work that's to come. Next up is high knees, pumping our knees up high, getting our knees to our hip height. Next up is butt kicks. We're trying to get our heels to our butt, getting our hamstrings warm. Now we're working on our jumping jacks, getting our hip adductors and our groin warm, getting our shoulders warm. Now we're working on our stance switches, switching our feet from our fighting stance, right leg forward to our left leg forward, over and over again. First we're working on our leg swings forward and backwards and side to side. Now that our body is warm, we're ready to continue on to our footwork training. Before we get started, let's get into our ideal fighting stance position. And if you have some construction tape or tape that won't ruin your floor, put that down, or you could use pads or anything to demark where your foot position is. From here, we're going to work on our offensive and defensive maneuvering, starting with the chunjin and the hujin. Chunjin moves forward, hujin moves backwards. Chunjin gets you into a quick position to throw your attacks, and hujin gets you to a defensive position to set up your counterattacks or dodge an attack. When you do the chunjin, make sure that you push off your back foot and you go forward about a half stance. If you want to cover more distance, try to do 2 small chunjins to go a full stance distance rather than 1 full large chunjin. And the reason for doing this is it helps you keep your balance. For the hujin, the same principle applies, except in reverse. We're going to push off our front foot in order to move backwards. If you have to move a farther distance, do 2 fast, quick, small hujins to get there rather than 1 large hujin. Next is stepping forward and stepping backwards. This is 1 full stance distance. It also looks very similar to throwing a roundhouse kick. So when you do this technique, make sure you push off your back foot to explode forwards if you're moving forward, and to push off your front foot to explode backwards. This helps you travel the distance much faster than if you were to just casually step back. We want to push when we step forward or backwards. Next up, and is a little bit more challenging and is I think underutilized, is sidestepping. Sidestepping is particularly useful against a cut kicking attacker, and it also will help you get into better position and better angles for your attacks. When you sidestep, if I'm going to go left, I'm going to push off my right foot and step left. If I'm going to go right, I'm going to push off my left foot and step to the right. That will be it for our basic offensive and defensive maneuvering. Next up is our footwork technique to improve our attacking and counterattacking. We're going to start off with the hop step, hop stepping on both sides. Hopping up onto one foot, your back foot replaces your front foot, and we step down and forward. Practice this going down and back on both sides. Next is a hop switch step. We hop our back foot to where the front foot is, and then we switch so that our foot lands where our front foot now is. This is a perfect setup for throwing continuous attacks, and it is a good practice to learning the double kick. Next up is the skip step. When we practice the skip step, we want to step our front foot steps a half step back, our back foot steps a full step forward, and then we step 1 more step forward. This is a great off-rhythm footwork, which will help you throw your opponents off, and is particularly useful for throwing the skip step axe kick. Next is the jump back kick footwork, where we're going to jump our front foot halfway between both our feet. We're going to kick our back foot up, heel to the sky, and our knees close to each other. If you don't know actually how to throw a jump back kick, I recommend you come join our class and learn together. This jump back kick is not something you want to learn on YouTube, but for my students, this is something you can practice by yourself. Next up is the lean back knee up, where we lean our body weight over our back foot, lifting our knee up. And this is great for an in-place cut kick, for a cut cancel. This is great for getting us into position to throw a front leg axe kick off of our back foot. And finally, we're going to practice the hop up into chamber and the repeating chamber off of the cut kick. This is a little bit, it's an essential technique. It can be quite technical. We're going to hop our back foot to our front foot, chambering into our side kick position. And immediately after you kick and you retract that leg, you're going to hop off your back foot forward. And that same sequence repeats itself. Now, when you practice this technique, bear in mind, you're not going to get this the first day, the second day, the third week, the second month. It's going to take you a long time. It's just going to continuously get better. Like all techniques, it gets better, and the real marker is when you start to spar and you notice, oh, I've gotten significantly better. A good question to ask is, well, how many of these do I do? And the answer is, as many as you can do. As many as you can do with consistency. If you start to notice that you're getting tired and your footwork isn't as precise as it was, stop. Don't practice sloppy footwork. You want to be precise, okay? If you're feeling pretty good, you can do a lot, great. But make sure each one that you do is quality. If it isn't quality, take a break, maybe do it again tomorrow. If you do this 3 or 4 times a week, that would be ideal. Footwork is something that is just underrated. People do not work on this. They just want to throw a bunch of kicks, which is great. But if you don't have footwork, don't expect to hit me. Don't expect to hit anyone. So make sure you do your practice. This is very important. Nice work.